Good evening. You're watching 6 p.m. Prime here on India Today. I'm Akshita Nandagopal, and this evening we're putting the focus on what's happening in Rajya Sabha. Today, history will be scripted as the Women's Reservation Bill, much like what happened in Lok Sabha yesterday, will pass in Rajya Sabha with a very clear majority, as all parties have now come on board to back this bill after 27 long years of endless stalemates. We'll be getting you all the highlights of the discussion that's played out through the day. A look at the headlines first. It's official, all visas in Canada have been suspended as a resolute India hits back at Canada. Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar meets Home Minister Amit Shah. India debunks Trudeau government on Khalistani terrorist Nijjar, says zero action taken on India's terror dossier. India calls Canada a safe haven for terrorists and extremists. Chilling details of Khalistani extremist Sukhdo's murder. Sukhdo shot 9 times in the head at Canadian residence. Killers said that he had murdered Goldie's brother. Crackdown on Khalistani terror by NIA. 10 accused in San Francisco Indian consulate arson identified. NIA seeks information on accused from public. Women's Reservation Bill is all set to be passed by Rajya Sabha. Nadda leads BJP fight in upper house, lashes out at Congress over quota bill politics.
भारत को पहला ओबीसी प्रधानमंत्री भारतीय जनता पार्टी एनडीए ने दिया, यह भी हमको ध्यान रखना है.
And Boeing rolls out big Make in India plans to open the largest facility outside of the US near Bengaluru. Says it will buy 10,000 crore rupees of components from India every year. All right, as we track the latest updates coming in from the Rajya Sabha, just a reminder that in a few moments from now, Nirmala Sitharaman is going to be speaking on behalf of the BJP. But what you're seeing from all of the statements, the discussion that happened in Rajya Sabha today, is that parties are all coming on board right now to ensure that the Women's Reservation Bill, the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam, gets passed in the Rajya Sabha as well. We've not seen a consensus for the last 27 years, so this is truly a historic moment. What played out in the upper house through the day? Remember that representatives of different political parties spoke out to put their party's perspective on the record there. And you had JP Nadda, BJP president, also speaking in a rare, fiery address.
आज सुबह से मैं देख रहा हूं कि चर्चा चल रही है कि ओबीसी का ध्यान नहीं रखा गया, ओबीसी की चिंता नहीं की गई, ओबीसी के बारे में कुछ सोचा नहीं गया. ठीक है, राजनीति में इस तरीके के वक्तव्य चलते हैं और वक्तव्य चलते यहां तक पहुंच गया कि 70 सेक्रेटरी में 3 ही शायद ओबीसी. अब मैं इसमें सिर्फ ज्ञानवर्धन करना चाहूंगा, मैं ज्ञानवर्धन करना चाहूंगा कि कालेलकर की रिपोर्ट नेहरू जी के टाइम की कहां पड़ी हुई थी. मंडल कमीशन इंदिरा गांधी जी के टाइम पर, राजीव गांधी जी के टाइम पर कहां पड़ा हुआ था, क्या हुआ उसका, क्या कर पाए उसको. 1992 में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा कि आप सर्विसेज में ओबीसी को रिजर्वेशन दीजिए और 1995-96 में एससी, एसटी और ओबीसी कैटेगरी सर्विसेज में जुड़ी और ऑल इंडिया सर्विसेज में जुड़ी. अब आप बताइए कि आज सेक्रेटरी के एम्पैनलमेंट का जो कट ऑफ ईयर है वो है 1992. जो सेक्रेटरीज हैं वो 1992 बैच के नीचे के लोग हैं, पहले के लोग हैं. अब मैं आपसे पूछता हूं कि 2004 से 2014 तक कितने सेक्रेटरी ओबीसी थे और कहां थे वो ओबीसी के सेक्रेटरी, किस क्राइटेरिया में थे, जरा हमको इसका ज्ञानवर्धन कीजिए. देखिए, मैं बार बार बोलता हूं, लीडर को लीडर बनना पड़ेगा, ट्यूटर से नहीं चलता काम. ये ट्यूटर्ड स्टेटमेंट से नहीं चलता है काम. और वो भी ट्विटर अगर कोई लीडर हो तो भी समझ में आता है। ये एनजीओ को लेकर के आ जाते हो, जिन एनजीओ को जिनको आता न पता न सता, कोई चीज जानकारी नहीं, वो आपको समझाते हैं और आप बोल करके सोचो आई वाज शॉक्ड एंड शैटर्ड एंड शॉक्ड। अरे भाई शौक तो लगना ही था, जब पढ़ना ही नहीं पूरा तो शौक ही लगेगा और क्या होगा। भारत को पहला ओबीसी प्रधानमंत्री भारतीय जनता पार्टी एनडीए ने दिया, यह भी हमको ध्यान रखना। ये ओबीसी की बात करते हैं, मैं कांग्रेस की बात कर रहा हूं। कांग्रेस और भैया मैं कांग्रेस की बात, कांग्रेस दूसरा आज 27 मंत्री ओबीसी के हैं, 27 मंत्री, और हमारे एमपीज, मैं सर कांग्रेस की बात कर रहा हूं, उनकी बात नहीं कर रहा हूं। देवेगौड़ा जी हमारे हैं, ओबीसी, मैं कांग्रेस की बात कर रहा हूं। कांग्रेस, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट जनता दल, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट कांग्रेस। That first Prime Minister has been given by NDA OBC, that is Narendra Modi, by NDA. Never Congress has given. मैं OBC, मैं आउट ऑफ 303 बीजेपी के एमपी हैं, 303 में 85 यानी 29% हमारे एमपी ओबीसी के हैं, ये भी हमको ध्यान में रखना चाहिए। उसी तरीके से 1358 एमएलए में 27% ओबीसी के हैं, 27%। आउट ऑफ 163 हमारे एमएलसी जो हैं उसमें 40% ओबीसी के हैं। मैंने जैसा कहा कि 303 एमपी में 85 यानी 29% एमपीज आर फ्रॉम ओबीसी। आउट ऑफ 1358 एमएलएस वी हैव 27% ओबीसी, एंड आई रिपीट दैट अमंग द एमएलसीज 163 हमारे एमएलसीज हैं, जिसमें से 40% ओबीसी है, यह भी हमको ध्यान में रखना। इसलिए अगर कहा जाए, फिर मैं बोल रहा हूं, कांग्रेस की बात कर रहा हूं, कांग्रेस के जितने एमपी हैं उससे ज्यादा तो हमारे ओबीसी एमपी हैं, यह भी हमको ध्यान रखना चाहिए, यह भी हमको ध्यान रखना चाहिए। इसलिए ये और देखिए मैं सिर्फ लोकसभा की बात कर रहा हूं। अगर लोकसभा और राज्यसभा मिला ले तो आपसे कहीं ज्यादा हम निकल जाते हैं, ये भी आपको ध्यान रखना। इसलिए और आप ओबीसी की बात करें, आप ओबीसी की बात करें, जो एक बार नहीं अनेकों बार ओबीसी को गाली दे, और एक बार नहीं अनेकों बार बोले मैं नहीं माफी मांगूंगा। ये
इसका अमेंडमेंट करने का कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, ये आप अब करने का तो ये 31 को डाल रहे हैं। इसका मकसद क्या है कि बिल ऐसा ही चले। नहीं, आप ही ने कहा 29 के बाद ये सब
29 को
नहीं, मैं सर जब पंचायत में रिजर्वेशन के लिए होता है, जिला पंचायत का होता है, तो ये वुमन रिजर्वेशन का क्यों नहीं होता? आज करो। और मैं एक कबीर का दुआ सुनाता हूँ, कल करने का आज करो, आज करने का अब करो, और फिर तो पल में प्रलय होगा तो फिर करेंगे कब? पल में प्रलय होगा तो फिर करेंगे कब?
मिस्टर नड्डा,
तो इसीलिए आप आज कीजिए, वी आर रेडी। वो इलीगल नहीं होता, जुडिशरी नहीं होता, कुछ नहीं।
I brought this reservation bill and it was passed in the Karnataka Assembly, and the same was introduced in the Parliament when I became the Prime Minister, and former late the Cabinet Secretary Mr. T.S.R. Subramaniam was there. He has written all details. Sir, I don't want to quote all these things. It contains all the materials. If you permit, I will place it on the table of the House.
Permitted. This may be placed on the table of the House.
Nobody stops them from empowering more women within their party. Nobody stops them from giving a ticket to women across political party lines, across religious equations, across castes. It does not deny women that right. However, having to vote against it is extremely, I think, saddening that they would be judged as those who were on the wrong side of history.
इस बिल में नियत ही साफ नहीं है सरकार के। अनिश्चित कालखंड के लिए, अनिश्चित प्रतिबद्धताओं के लिए कोई रोड मैप नहीं, और ये बिल पास किया जा रहा है। एक बड़ी आबादी को आपने खारिज कर दिया, उनको एक्सक्लूड कर दिया। कल शाम से प्रधानमंत्री जी की टीम को समझना चाहिए कि चर्चा बिल के पास होने की नहीं हो रही है, चर्चा हो रही है ओबीसीज की। उनको क्यों नहीं इंक्लूड किया? चर्चा हो रही है जातिगत जनगणना की। और मैं समझता हूं कि ये संदेश है साफ तौर पर, अभी भी आपके पास वक्त है कि अनिश्चित कालखंड के लिए, बल्कि निश्चित कालखंड के लिए, और इन चीजों को इंक्लूड करके आप फिर से अपने पोजीशन को रिवाइज करिए। अन्यथा लोगों के पास और विकल्प होते हैं आपके पोजीशन को और बिल को बदलने के।
बुरा मत मानिएगा, बांग्ला में एक कहावत है, वोट बड़ो बालाई। इलेक्शन की कंपल्शन है भाई। somehow opposition unity and India alliance নিয়ে treasury bench is worried, তাই ইলেকশন স্টান্স আসছে পরপর। নতুন पार्लियामेंट भवन उद्बोधन হলো। हमारा तो आदत ही हो गया था कि प्रधानमंत्री जी पार्लियामेंट आते हैं, लेकिन संसद हाउस के अंदर बहुत कम आते हैं, हाउस के अंदर बोलते और भी कम। वो दुख भी इस बार पहले 2 दिन में 4 बार सुनने के बाद चले गए। और विमेन रिजर्वेशन को लेकर नारी शक्ति बंधन बोल के पास कराना है। वी विल अप्रिशिएट, बेटर लेट देन नेवर। 9.5 साल ही सही, थोड़ा विलंबित सोच ही सही। वी विल सर्टेनली सपोर्ट विमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल in this house with all our
Now, with the decks cleared for the Women's Reservation Bill to be passed today in the Rajya Sabha, we're hearing from our sources in the government that both houses will be adjourned sine die today, which means that the special session, which was to be continuing till tomorrow, will actually end a day early. And that's because business has, in fact, been taken care of. The government clearly had called for the special session with the intention of bringing the Women's Reservation Bill. With that taken care of, it looks like the government is all set to go ahead and adjourn both houses sine die, which means tomorrow there will be no business in both houses. Let me take this across to Maushmi Singh for more details. Maushmi, good evening. Even with the Women's Reservation Bill being tabled, being presented in both houses, there were a lot of questions about whether they'd be last-minute surprises. Doesn't look like it for the moment.
Right, Akshita, but today in the upper house, perhaps the discussion could go till late in the evening, and after that the voting has to happen. So probably we are looking at a very late evening in the Parliament, and the news is that sources tell us that there's high probability that the Parliament would be adjourned sine die. So as you rightly pointed out, 4 days of business conducted, a landmark bill passed and turned into a law. The government would pat its back, getting the historic legislation into action. So clearly you can see that it's a very politically charged up atmosphere, a bill where you can see rarely there is so much of consensus as far as, you know, the majority vote only 2 no's yesterday, and we'll have to wait and see whether the arithmetic is any different in the Rajya Sabha, because remember, the strength of the opposition is much higher in the Rajya Sabha. The government is on the a bit of a minority line, but we will have to wait and see that whether that consensus also reflects in the upper house.
All right, Maushami, stay on with me because while it looks like the numbers will work out for the government, which is why you had the Prime Minister earlier today also speaking in Lok Sabha, thanking all political parties for the support that they've shown, there are a few sticking points on the Women's Reservation Bill that is leading to, again, a political war of words. It was triggered, of course, by a number of things. One is, of course, what Rahul Gandhi said in Parliament yesterday when he said that we must ensure OBC representation and then charged the Modi government, saying that you have only OBC secretaries and nothing more. It's led to a showdown of sorts as the BJP then lashed out at the Congress, saying we've ensured OBC representation. We gave the country its first OBC Prime Minister, referring to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But besides that also, there are a lot of questions with regards to the Women's Reservation Bill on whether there needs to be a quota within a quota as well. Let's get you, in fact, some of the reactions that have come in on that big talking point, even as the BJP highlighted that they have the largest number of OBC lawmakers. Amit Shah highlighted how nearly 80 plus BJP MPs come from the OBC.
कि 2004 से 2014 तक कितने सेक्रेटरी ओबीसी थे और कहां थे वो ओबीसी के सेक्रेटरी, किस क्राइटेरिया में थे, जरा हमको इसका ज्ञानवर्धन कीजिए। देखिए, मैं बार बार बोलता हूं, लीडर को लीडर बनना पड़ेगा, ट्यूटर से नहीं चलता काम। ये ट्यूटर्ड स्टेटमेंट से नहीं चलता है काम, और वह भी ट्यूटर अगर कोई लीडर हो तो भी समझ में आता है। ये एनजीओ को लेकर के आ जाते हो, जिन एनजीओ को जिनको आता न पता न सता, कोई चीज जानकारी नहीं, वो आपको समझाते हैं और आप बोल करके सोचो आई वाज शॉक्ड एंड शैटर्ड एंड शॉक्ड। अरे भाई, शौक तो लगना ही था, जब पढ़ना ही नहीं पूरा तो शौक ही लगेगा, और क्या होगा। भारत को पहला ओबीसी प्रधानमंत्री भारतीय जनता पार्टी एनडीए ने दिया, यह भी हमको ध्यान रखना। ये ओबीसी की बात करते हैं।
रिजर्वेशन है वो आप सब जानते हैं, सुप्रीम कोर्ट का मामला है और ये मुद्दे को भटकाने वाली बात है, राजनीतिकरण करने की बात है। जो पार्टीज हैं, जितने पुरुषों को वो लोग ओबीसी में टिकट देते हैं, वो सब महिलाओं को दे दे, बात खत्म। कल गृह मंत्री जी ने बहुत अच्छे से चीजें एक्सप्लेन की हैं। ये सब मुद्दे लेकर महिलाओं को कभी भी जो है रिजर्वेशन नहीं मिलती। आज की तारीख में टेस्ट है राज्यसभा में, वो रिजर्वेशन महिलाओं को प्राप्त हो।
सरकार को हम साजिश देते, मतलब सलाह देना चाहते हैं कि इसमें और कुछ चीजों को शामिल किया जाए। जैसे कि कल हमारे और एक साथी दानिश अली वो भी कह रहे थे कि ट्रांसजेंडर लोगों को क्या होगी, माइनॉरिटी की बात जो कह रहे हैं, ट्रांसजेंडर लोगों की क्या होगी, यह भी एक मुद्दा रखे गए हैं। तो कास्ट सेंसस होना चाहिए, ये हमारा मांग है।
तो न उनकी नीयत दुरुस्त है, न नियत दुरुस्त है और न बिल दुरुस्त है। इसमें जो कहा है राहुल जी ने, सोनिया जी ने, इसमें आरक्षण का लाभ पिछड़े वर्ग और वर्गों को मिलना चाहिए। जहां तक राज्यसभा का सवाल है, हम जिम्मेदारी लेते हैं कि इसको आज तक के सर्वाधिक मतों से हम इसे पारित करेंगे। पर वाह रे बीजेपी, तेरी कथनी और करनी में इतना अंतर है कि ऊपर वाला भी शायद आपको न समझ पाए।
इस देश में इतनी बड़ी संख्या में ओबीसी समाज के लोग रहते हैं, उनको आपने क्या प्रतिनिधित्व दिया इसमें, जिसको लेकर पहले भी विरोध हुआ था। ये जो महिला आरक्षण बिल ये लेकर आए हैं, ये एक चुनावी जुमला है, इससे अलावा कुछ नहीं है। अगर आपकी मंशा साफ थी तो आप 24 के चुनाव में 33% आरक्षण लागू करते।
हमारी पार्टी ट्राइबल पार्टी है जरूर, लेकिन हम लोग वहाँ पर गठबंधन की सरकार चला रहे हैं, कांग्रेस, राजद और जेएमएम की सरकार है, और हमारे यहाँ अच्छी खासी संख्या में ओबीसी भी है। तो हम लोग चाहेंगे कि एसटी, एससी, ओबीसी तीनों के लिए रिजर्वेशन हो, ताकि इसका लाभ सबको मिल सके। तो हम लोग भी ऐसा ही प्लान कर रहे हैं।
Now, while it's expected that the bill will pass the Rajya Sabha test, much like what we witnessed in the Lok Sabha yesterday, today as well, there will be several requests for amendments to the bill. And let's get you those details. 9 Congress MPs have moved amendments for OBC reservation for women. So they want quota within quota. They also are seeking the immediate implementation of women reservation in the present setup of seats, saying don't wait for delimitation, don't wait for census to happen many years down the line. They want all of it to happen now. But of course, this has been a big talking point in Parliament right up till now. And the government has very clearly said, let's get the bill passed. We'll talk about the reservations that you have. But having said that, they've also made it very clear that we must follow due process and then take things forward. So 9 Congress MPs have moved these amendments. Voting of these amendments will take place after voting on the bill. Moshmi is joining us with more details on this. Moshmi, once again, the demand for quota within quota essentially coming up. But the government has made it fairly clear that that's something they're not open to right now. They're saying, in principle, give your nod for the bill. We'll discuss problems. We'll discuss nitty-gritties later.
That's right, Akshita. You know, this is actually a part of the strategy of the Congress. Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi took the lead as far as, you know, from the Congress's side over demanding OBC reservation for the OBC. Now, that's a U-turn of the Congress from 2010. And you have leaders like Nasir Hussain, Rajni Patil, Phulo Devi Netam, Ranjit Ranjan, all the women MPs of the Congress, almost 9 of them, you know, pressing for amendments. So clearly, as you pointed out, there could be demand for by several members for amendments, which will be taken up first, and then the final voting on the bill will happen. But importantly, you know, one more point which was being hammered in, one was the OBC point, and the other point was do it now. In fact, K.C. Venugopal led that charge from the Congress's side, saying that if Prime Minister Narendra Modi, it's often talked about that he has a 56-inch chest, then where is that guts and willpower to do this implementation and give the women their due right now? So these are the two big loopholes, or perhaps the Congress feels the glaring misses that the Congress and the opposition can hammer in to make sure that the advantage of passing this bill does not transfer in votes to the BJP.
All right, Moshmi, thanks very much for getting us all of those details. We're keeping a close eye on what's happening in the Rajya Sabha. Business is getting extended. The session was to conclude at 6, but even now the discussion on the women's reservation bill continues in the upper house. News coming in that Prime Minister Modi will be in the Rajya Sabha to witness history when the women's reservation bill is passed in the upper house. When the voting takes place, Prime Minister Modi will be there. He'll reportedly enter to be there also for Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's speech, which is expected any moment now. And when she speaks, Prime Minister Modi will be there. Remember, earlier today, the Prime Minister speaking in Lok Sabha thanked his fellow members of Parliament, thanked MPs cutting across party lines for the consensus, for their support for the women's reservation bill. Moshmi is joining us with more details on this. History in the making, Moshmi. So the Prime Minister ensuring that he is also witness to it. The voting is expected to start in just a short while from now. And we're hearing Prime Minister Modi will be there for Nirmala Sitharaman's speech and for the voting post that.
Right. So, Akshita, we have learned that the Prime Minister would be present, and we saw how the Prime Minister, you know, thanked all the Lok Sabha MPs today. He would be present today to hear what Nirmala Sitharaman has to say, but during the voting, because only members are allowed to be present, or members of that house are allowed to be present during the voting, so he won't be there for the voting period. He will be there to hear Nirmala Sitharaman, and perhaps, you know, because Arjun Ram Meghwal would reply to all the queries and questions and the debate and discussion After Meghwal's reply, it will be the voting process. At that time, the PM would not be present, but BJP and of course the Modi government will leave no stone unturned to make this moment historic. And the Prime Minister's presence is yet again underlining that fact that this is the big push to get women, to give women their due after a long historic battle.
Maushmi, thanks very much for joining us with those details. We'll keep coming across to you for the live updates coming in from the Rajya Sabha. Now, women from across the country have been, of course, hailing the Women's Reservation Bill and the fact that it's finally being passed in both houses of Parliament. What we've been seeing in the last few days, since the new Parliament building has been unveiled and since it's been in use, we've seen several prominent actors, celebrities, influencers making their way to the new Parliament building by the government. They've been taken on tours. Many of them also spoke on what the Women's Reservation Bill really means for them.
With women coming in the forefront, and women have achieved in every field that there is, be it at the war front, be it in sports or in anything that they've attempted, they've succeeded. So I think why not running the country? It is a very important part.
ये जो रिजर्वेशन बिल हुआ है पास, जो कि इलेक्टेड लेजिस्लेटर्स के लिए भी है, ये बहुत ही बड़ा एक इनिशिएटिव है और मुझे लगता है महिलाओं को बहुत बहुत खूबसूरत मौका देगा. कब से ये बात चली आ रही है, आज आके फाइनली बिल पास हुआ है. सो फील्स रियली गुड.
तो ये जो वुमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल जो उन्होंने अभी किया है, उन्होंने बाहर सम्मानित, इस चीज़ का बहुत ही ज़रूरत थी. एंड इस चीज़ से बहुत एम्पावरमेंट मिलेगी औरतों को, क्योंकि जो इंडिया का एक मोटिव है कि वुमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट होनी चाहिए, ये इसका एक टेस्टिमनी है और यहाँ से बिगनिंग होगी बहुत ज़्यादा.
बेटी पढ़ाओ बेटी बचाओ से लेकर हर क्षेत्र में महिलाओं ने अपना जोश और जज्बा कर दिखाया है. एंड एक्शन स्पीक लाउडर देन वर्ड्स. हम देखने जाए तो पूरे विश्व में प्रतिशत, आई थिंक अराउंड 24% वर्ल्ड लीडर्स महिलाएं हैं, और अगर इंडिया में 33% हो जाएंगी तो आई थिंक ग्लोबली तो हम वैसे भी बहुत आगे जा रहे हैं. और आई थिंक आफ्टर G20 इट विल बी अ फेदर इन आवर कैप.
जहां पर हम कहते हैं कि देश को आगे बढ़ाने में महिलाओं का बहुत सबसे बड़ा हाथ होना चाहिए, और जब तक महिलाएं आगे नहीं बढ़ेगी एक देश आगे नहीं बढ़ेगा. तो आज ये 33% जो रिजर्वेशन बिल पास हुआ है, तो उसके लिए ये है कि देश तो बहुत आगे बढ़ रहा है और साथ में हमारी महिलाएं जो आगे बढ़ रही हैं, जिन्हें हमारे देश की जो पॉलिसीज में डिसीजन लेने में बहुत बड़ा हाथ रहेगा उनका, तो देख के बहुत अच्छा लगता है.
Updates of what's happening on the diplomatic tensions between India and Canada. A word so far that's largely been reserved for Pakistan of being a safe haven for terrorists has now been used by India against Canada, and that's perhaps indicative of how things have escalated in the last few days. The latest is that India now has taken the step of suspending any visa services in Canada. Details in our next report.
It is an all-out diplomatic war between India and Canada. Terming Canada a safe haven for terrorists and extremists, the Indian government decided to suspend the visa operations in Canada due to operational reasons.
If there is any country, if you're talking about reputational issues and reputational damage, if there's any country that needs to look at this, I think it is Canada and its growing reputation as a place, as a safe haven for terrorists, for extremists, and for organized crime. And I think that's a country that needs to worry about its international reputation.
BLS International, an online visa application center, has too stopped services until further notice.
You are aware of the security threats being faced by our High Commission and consulates in Canada. This has disrupted their normal functioning. Accordingly, our High Commission and consulates are temporarily unable to process visa applications. We will be reviewing the situation on a regular basis.
The visa war means no new visas will be issued to Canadians planning to visit India. However, there will not be any problem for Indians and Canadians who already have valid visas to travel. Indian authorities on Wednesday had issued a hard-hitting advisory pointing to politically condoned hate crimes in Canada, urging Indian nationals and students in that country to be cautious. Meanwhile, an Indian origin MP, Chandra Arya, has urged the Canadian Indian Authority to stay calm and vigilant. He described Hindu Canadians as soft targets.
I've heard from many Hindu Canadians who are fearful after this targeted attack. I urge Hindu Canadians to stay calm but vigilant. Please report any incident of Hindu phobia to your local law enforcement agencies.
Arya slammed Khalistan supporters and expressed his reservations about how, in the name of freedom of speech, the glorification of terrorism and hate crimes targeting religious groups are allowed to persist. The Canadian High Commission in India has said that out of an abundance of caution, they have decided to temporarily adjust staff presence in India. Bureau Report, India Today.
So remember, this escalation has happened after Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau claimed that the Indian government had a role in the killing of Khalistani terrorist Nijjar. And amid all of these diplomatic developments taking place, another Khalistani supporter has been killed in his residence. Khalistani supporter Sukhdul was shot dead 9 times to his head, allegedly as a result of gang rivalry, though investigation is still underway.
Sukhdul Singh, aka Sukha Dunike. Originally from Duneka village in Punjab's Mocha district. The 29-year-old, wanted by India in several terror cases, was shot dead in his house, flat number 203, located on Hazelton Drive Road in Winnipeg City of Canada on Wednesday. Sukhdul Singh is in aid of Khalistani terrorist Arshdeep Singh, alias Arsh Dala, who is also wanted in India. In 2017, Sukhdul Singh obtained a passport and police clearance certificate on forged documents to flee to Canada, despite having 7 criminal cases registered against him. He managed to escape Punjab with the help of 2 police officials who were later arrested by Mocha police. As per sources, Sukhdul's murder is linked to gang rivalry. He was allegedly killed by another Khalistani gang member for his alleged role in the murder of Goldie Brar's brother, Gurlal. While speaking to India Today in June, Goldie Brar had declared that his name will pop up in the killing of Khalistani terrorists in Canada.
हर तरह के बंदे हमें अप्रोच करते हैं जी, इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है, पर क्या करना है और क्या नहीं करना है वो हमें पता है जी, ठीक है। हमें हम जो चीज करने की जरूरत नहीं है जी, हम वो नहीं करेंगे, ये मतलब नहीं है। अगर हम कर सकते हैं तो करेंगे जी। और जिन्होंने नजायज इतने लोग मरवाए हैं जी, इतने बम धमाके करवा दिए इतने देशों में, उनका तो हम कभी भी नहीं मदद करेंगे जी। हम दुश्मन हैं, उनके दोस्त नहीं है, ठीक है। कभी हमारा अगर नाम आएगा तो उनको मारने वाले बंदों में है।
Sukhdul Singh's killing comes amid growing diplomatic tensions between India and Canada over the murder of another Khalistani terrorist, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. The 45-year-old Nijjar, wanted by India in several terror cases, was shot dead in the parking lot of a Gurdwara in Canada's Surrey. He was gunned down by what investigators initially said were 2 masked men who fled the scene. Nijjar is named as a member of the Khalistan Tiger Force, a designated terrorist group. In 2016, he was linked to a 2007 bombing at a Punjab cinema that killed 6. Nijjar claimed to have moved to Canada in 1997, working as a plumber at a local Gurdwara. India has categorically rejected Canadian allegations of involvement in Nijjar's murder as absurd and politically motivated, saying that Canada had long provided shelter to Khalistani terrorists and extremists. Experts, however, believe non-state actors like Nijjar, crafted by Pakistan's rogue ISI, have been caught in their own web.
It is the policy of Pakistan's ISI to eliminate, to send terrorists to different countries. They eliminate their own people. And these people who have been killed, either in Pakistan or Canada, they had become liability for Pakistan, whether it's Hafiz Saeed or Sayyid Salahuddin.
From Canada to Pakistan, the violent deaths of Khalistani elements could very well be the handiwork of the ISI that once nurtured them.
If there is any person who is working for any agency, if he is unable to deliver, then he has to be sold out or killed. That is what Pakistan ISI is doing, because Pakistan had been spending a lot of money on terrorists and terrorist activities in India and elsewhere, but lately Pakistan is in a big problem, economic problem. Pakistan cannot afford them, so it is Pakistan who is killing them, or Pakistan ISI who is killing them, or in some cases there is inter-gang rivalry.
When will the Trudeau government act against the increasing lawlessness by Khalistani-linked gangsters who are posing a threat to Indian-Canadian community? Bureau Report, India Today.